Hello, viewers. So, welcome to Silly Point episode 4. We are हम पुराना अब्दुल्ला वापस ले आए on popular demand. बीच वाले ने काफी फिट सब इन किया था, but we felt we needed the original back. Anyway, so today's episode with the usual Abdullah, Subo, Wamu is going to be a little bit different. So अभी तक हम लोग करते आए थे कि specific topics, and that's going to continue. We're going to still try and do one weekly pod per week. But this one is a bit different because it's a more accurate reflection of how our actual conversations about any sports को कि हम 10-12 मिनट एक टॉपिक पे लगते हैं उसके बाद फिर कोई दूसरा स्पोर्ट आ जाता है because as a group we are very much into different kinds of sports, so we wanted to bring that flavor to you as well. So today's, and this is gonna be, we're gonna try and do this weekly. I don't know कितना sustainable होगा, but we're gonna try and do that. So essentially, the idea will be that in this weekly roundup type series, we're going to touch base on a few recent events that's going to be happening. So today, we're going to be covering three main sports. We're going to be talking about cricket, where we're going to deep dive about the Pakistan-South Africa ongoing matches. We have a lot of thoughts to share on that. Then we're going to touch on the ongoing Women's World Cup, as well as talk about the France EVO that happened and how, as reference to our last episode, Pakistan really has the bragging rights. And then we're going to round up with football, international break, and looking forward to F1. To the back to the normal season. And yeah, I forgot one thing which I slipped in. We're also going to be touching base on F1. So a lot to cover. So I think, guys, let's deep dive with Pakistan, South Africa, home season back, start of a new WTC cycle. Let's start with the first takes.
सबसे पहले तो भाई नोमान मेरे अब्बू यहाँ से मैं स्टार्ट करना चाहूंगा। आगे आप आगे आपने देख लिया आपने किधर जाना है। नहीं जनरली लाइक आई वाज पहली इनिंग्स
Yeah, I
मतलब
mean,
या
I would say एक जो चीज जो बहुत ज्यादा आई थिंक स्टैंड आउट कर रही है रिपीटेडली नाउ इज कि ये हमने जो हमारे पास एक हैक है ऑफ whatever pitches we've managed to create which are bringing out like this super Noman and super Sajid. Why have we not always been doing this? और दूसरी बात आई थिंक ये है कि दिस इज we were talking about this before the call before the recording started, but the idea that matlab, this is a world champion team. We are right now facing
हम्म
the world test champions, and yeah, I mean, I would say this has been a pretty competent display. I think the last innings, the Pakistan की batting innings didn't go that well.
हम्म
But I think वो यही है. I think mostly के pitch ने deteriorate कर गई है कि batting has become very difficult. But having said that, I still think we underperformed a little bit. Would have really liked to get 70, 80 runs on top. And I think this actually might become a close match. But regardless of that, I think Noman and Sajid have once again shown the ridiculous amounts of quality in these conditions that they have.
हम्म
And I mean, Noman particularly, another six for the guy's on fire.
yeah
It's
man's
unbelievable,
standing on
actually.
8 wickets right now, bro. He's just like I'm betting on a 10 wicket haul, bro. He's I mean already
I
got
mean,
into this
yeah, it'd be silly
things.
to bet against it, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, and genuinely, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing to talk
So
about though
here's a
is
few.
Babar and Rizwan's
Yeah.
returned as well, but we can get to that. Sattar, you can go ahead.
We can get to that,
Uh,
but in particular about Babar, actually, Babar looked really sharp at one point in the second innings. First innings, he never really seemed to have found his footing. Second inning, also, first 20 balls, he was just. But
Just
then
because
that three back,
those three, I
that
knew
tho-
it.
yeah, those three back-to-back fours changed his complete attitude, bro. He was on his feet. He was walking up the field, no, up the pitch, and he was trying to go around. He was doing well for himself. उसके बीच में एक आध थोड़े shady से edges भी निकले जो कि उन्होंने नहीं जो कि मतलब could have been a problem for us, but looked good for a while, but then couldn't keep it going. Similar for Saud. Saud भी अच्छा लग रहा था second inning में एक point के ऊपर बहुत अच्छी cricket खेल रहा था. मतलब 360 नहीं तो at least 270 degrees पे तो cricket खेल रहा था वो. He looked really. Abdullah Shafiq was looking really good. Or Babar का actually interesting observation, but like Babar actually इस मैच में अब आके पेसर से स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं. वो आके उनके स्पिनर्स को वो लगा रहा था चौके चौके 3 in a row. रबाडा को वापस लेके आया वो पहली बॉल से ही उसको समझ ही नहीं आ रहा आगे पीछे वो थोड़ा चल रहा है, and then that's also when he lost his wicket. So that's also an interesting thing here
Guys,
given the pitch and all.
any space for Shaheen slander?
Mm,
I
not
mean, he didn't
Go for it.
hardly bowled and like batted
yeah
for like
yeah
six balls for zero
yeah
runs. So yeah.
No,
agreed,
listen,
not too
I wasn't
much,
even
but
sure.
But bro, as Sattar, remember we spoke about this yesterday कि गुंजाइश है कि आप एक और स्पिनर एक लेगी लेके आए इसके अंदर, अब्रार बैठा हुआ है आपके स्क्वाड में भी है, तो किसको ड्रॉप करेंगे? शाहीन. That's the slander I have, I suppose.
I mean, I think that's the
Bro,
obvious
at this
Talk
choice.
point,
about that.
नहीं था, but I think at this point यार, मतलब if you look at the record, जब हमने अबरार को खिलाया भी bowling दो से ही करवाई है, so at this point we should just back ourselves and pick like 9 batters and say यार हम
Yeah, yeah. I was
दो
just gonna say,
boys
by the way, I
कर
think
लेंगे.
I was gonna say that there might be room for another batter here. मतलब like I would say अगर कोई bowler drop करना है तो शाहीन ही होगा. I mean, I think that
Mhm.
has this is not even a comment on his ability or anything. It's just that on these pitches, like you simply don't need him. I think Hassan Ali is probably better for these pitches, better
Yeah.
suited anyway. So
हाँ.
No, I'm
So
with
yeah,
that.
I think but
Any
one
place
thing,
where,
one guy will,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, go for it, Ramu.
No, just more shine slander. Okay, point made.
But I think one guy that sort of everyone's missing out with all the light on our spin kings is Imamul Haq. I think
Yeah.
guys made a like by like full disclaimer. Uh, he's like a 90s batter who has somehow found relevance. I started disliking him because of his like inability to grow out of it. But one thing I want to give him fair credit to is guy dropped out of the team, went and played in England, scored a ton of
Mhm.
runs, and by the way,
Indeed.
ended a very lucrative contract. The moment PCB said, "अच्छा यार, इतना scene बन रहा है कि we might play you here," came back, played in the Qaid Azam Trophy, scored a really well knock.
Mhm.
Should have probably scored a century if Tony Zorzi was as bad a short leg fielder as Abdullah Shafiq. But he did take the catch, which was supposed to be taken. But overall, like, and especially like, I think this was really critical because one thing that like because spin का तो हमें पता था. One thing I was really nervous about going into this match is that uh, we don't do well. Like हम generally इतने rank turners बना देते हैं कि हमसे खुद नहीं खेला जाता. And
mm,
that was a really pointed difference. Obviously, a very good toss to win, right? Things would have been very different अगर हम second or fourth innings bat कर रहे होते. So we have to be careful about that because हर
Mhm.
toss नहीं जाएगा. But regardless, once we won the toss and Abdullah got out very cheaply, one of the key difference makers was how Imam and Shan both played. And Shan, by the way, a lot of
excellent. Yeah,
criticism
really
comes
good.
his way,
Excellent.
but
Very good guy.
really played
Yeah.
well. Came down this
Mhm.
like bothered the spinners off their length, attacked the bat balls consistently, and generally kept the tempo up. वो जो
Mhm.
पाकिस्तान वे की एक स्कीम आई थी जब हम एक मैच गलती से जीत गए थे और उसके बाद भूल गए फिर जीतना. But generally,
वैसे by the way on
positive signs
Shan,
to come.
yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah.
complete.
No, no, finish.
Yeah, no, just on Shan, I think that this has been a pretty, and I think that's kind of why they've even made him captain. I think ultimately more than even Salman or any of these guys who've been talking about aggressive cricket, I think Shan has really committed to this idea of playing cricket a certain way. I think a lot of
Mhm.
that is obviously the fact that उसने England वगैरह में बहुत खेला है extensively, and I think that's probably impacted his game and how he reads the game. So I think I think he's really been on the forefront of it, which is why I'm actually very happy with him as captain, even
Mhm.
though he has like if you look at his numbers, they've not been amazing. I think even now he
Yeah.
averages 30 at best, and
Mhm.
you would want
33 or
more from
something.
your captain, but yeah, his
Mhm.
innings are always impactful. He did slow down though, I believe like the second half of his innings, but he played really well for the first half, like
Mhm.
really well. And again on
Yeah.
Imam, by the way, I would just like to say that he is a personal favorite of mine. I know people don't really love him because of that 90s cricket angle, but actually, I would say if you think about it, he is a great test player. I think maybe you could argue that limited overs में उसकी शायद इतनी जगह ना बने,
Mhm.
especially in a
Mhm.
world where you're playing Saim Ayub and Fakhar Zaman is opening in ODI, so I think probably not. But I would say that he's consistent. I think he has a lot of shots in his locker, and
Mhm.
yeah, I think he's rarely been in a slump for too long. And I think होता ही है कि वो तीन चार दफा पांच छह दफा फेल हो जाता है, हम उसको ड्रॉप कर देते हैं. But I think very rarely have you seen an Imam come back where he continues to fail. I think it's the thing about him is that I think he does pick himself up, and yeah,
Mhm.
kudos to him for going to England for, restarting and doing well for himself and coming back
Yeah,
strong.
yeah, absolutely.
I just
In
want to
fact,
back
वो
up
जो
to that Shan criticism also. Sorry, Hugo,
Mhm.
just a bit I want to insert
Mhm.
here. Yeah, I also think if you look at the numbers, it's very like it's undue criticism. ठीक है. His average in the last is 2 years, I would say, just to पूरे career को नहीं देखें तो, is 35, right? Which is not what a test captain should have. Absolutely agree. But if you look at it, like your best is Rizwan with the 40 plus. No, best is South with like about 48. Rizwan 40 plus. Agha with about 38. So he's the fourth best batter. Now,
Would you
yes, I would
would you
argue my
please say
captain.
for the camera who's at the bottom of this list? Just please say it for the camera,
It's not Babar.
along with the
Mamu,
others.
as much as Mamu would like to
It
say
is
Shaheen,
exactly
it's
that guy.
Bobby.
Is it Bobby? I mean, what are you
Yep,
basing this on?
Yeah, it's
at
Bobby. It's
28.
Bobby with 24.
24, 28,
24.
24.
Right,
But
right,
like
Right.
over the
right.
last 2 years.
So,
Yeah.
so he's
Yeah,
the
he's
fourth
been in pretty
best
terrible
batter, and
form.
generally अगर बहुत सारे लोग आर्ग्यू भी करते हैं अच्छा डोमेस्टिक से कोई ले आओ या पाकिस्तान के साथ एक जर्नल देखा है कि हमारा डोमेस्टिक का स्टैंडर्ड इज नॉट शेफील्ड, इट्स नॉट काउंटी, इट्स नॉट रणजी. So generally our players don't step up as naturally, right? So it's not also like a Pakistan domestic से मैं कोई 50 plus का बंदा उठा लूं and suddenly he's a better batter than Shan. For all we know, he might be really bad. So he's doing pretty okay, not
Yeah.
outstanding by any means.
Mhm.
But and then if you add to his captaincy, which by the way, after watching about
Yeah.
3 years of Babar captain, like if you thought Babar captaincy in ODI was bad, just watch his test captaincy, his field placements, his obviously his bowling side, his job is a bit easier. बस ball आई, so साजिद धमान को बोलो बस ends को decide कर लो and
वो बाबर के टाइम पे
बता
नहीं हो
देना
रहा
कब
था.
थक जाओ.
बाबा के
But even
टाइम पे
then,
साजिद तो हो रहा था ब्रो. साजिद तो हो रहा था.
But
even
not on
then,
these pitches.
his field placements, his intelligence in how he operates the plan. So I think थोड़ा undue criticism है.
नहीं, for sure.
And then
For sure.
gonna
Agreed.
come back to the
हम्म.
Rizwan bit. I think comeback तो क्या बस ये था कि थोड़ा सा मतलब टेस्ट हमने खेला ही नहीं. So it's not like he was ever out of the test
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
He's still our best test batter. Genuinely really good innings, especially from 199 for 5. I think 378 on this pitch on the first inning was really what set us up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll come
Yeah,
back to
no,
the bowling, but
Also,
Rizwan was
really
Rizwan was
refreshing
great.
to also see. Sorry, just before you. Really good to see Rizwan also behind the stumps, bro. I can't tell you how good
He is
that
no
after
doubt
feels.
our
watching
best.
Haris for a bit.
Yeah, no doubt our best keeper. But here to really quickly round this up because I think let's not get too ahead of ourselves because ultimately होगा ये कि पाकिस्तान शायद ये मैच हार जाएगा और हमारी पॉजिटिविटी का कोई फायदा नहीं रहेगा. So maybe let's save this for when the match is over. But I would say that Rizwan played really well. Salman specifically, I think, really showed that he can play really exceptionally well. I think he played as good an innings as anyone else and very useful innings also. And just to finish off, I would say that Rizwan really has not has always been there for us. Like I think you can always
Yeah.
argue about his like strike rate and this that even in limited overs though, but he's produced like even in the last few years, he's produced like maybe he'll every now and then he'll not have a good match, but more often than not he's there with the runs. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Anyone
I
else
think
have anything to add
but
before we move on to the Women's World Cup?
I think rounding up thoughts यही कि 277 obviously I think it's a good
It's a
score.
good
Like
time.
देखो,
Yeah, it's a very good
Yeah.
score.
it's a world it's a
Yeah.
WTC champion side, really good against spin. But see अगर वो fourth inning में अपने second inning total को on a worst of pitch beat कर पाते हैं, kudos to them, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't mean that we played badly. It's just that the other team was really good.
Yeah, they were
बस
also
ये
good.
कि what I'm nervous about is Pakistan के knee-jerk reactions. Because suddenly we lose like one match from a good position, and suddenly it's like, oh, this spinning track is not working. Let's go back और पूरा revamp करना शुरू करते हैं. As long as that doesn't happen, I think it's fine. But overall, I think 8 wickets, about 250 odd runs to go. I think, to be honest, by lunch we should be able
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
wrap this up
In fact,
comfortably and
first
start
session
off
will tell us where
WTC.
this is going. First session will tell us where this is going. अगर
I want to deep
एक आध
dive more on the WTC prospects as a whole, but I think that's maybe reserve it
other
for
episode.
another
Yeah,
episode.
maybe that's
So
a
very quickly, yeah, that's a whole episode
yeah.
in and of itself. But coming right into it, I think I want to jump into the Formula One aspects a little bit, right?
Not
So for
Women's World Cup.
oh yeah, sorry. So my script is not that well scripted. Yeah. So Women's World Cup actually. So for those of and naturally, आधी cricket awam nahi dekhti. By the way, this was just interesting, really interesting uh, ad that the BCCI made as a prospect that to other fan hai, which is basically any cricket fan that hasn't watched Women's World Cup is उसपे भी बड़ा criticism and plus ये वो क्या आप अच्छा नहीं खेलते and all of that, like there's a whole drama associated to that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, Women's World Cup का there's a couple of things that I want to touch upon. Right, एक तो इंडिया में हो रहा है, the crowds are decent. So overall, I think for the sport in general, it's been really good. Right, there's a couple of things that I want to specifically zoom in on. Number one is last time when India hosted a World Cup around Diwali, it ended up really, really, really good for them until it did not. Pat Cummins, sir. but, but this time, unfortunately, it's not
Sir,
going
Pat
that well.
Cummins,
So
sir.
so it's two games that they've lost, and now it's a really interesting scenario because Australia, after like a monstrous 331. By the way, for those of you who have not watched, please just watch Alicia Haley's knock there. 140 in a crunch situation. It's unbelievable what the woman is capable of. But regardless, now India's has lost two on the trot. Now there's a very interesting situation because Australia and England are unbeaten, right? And Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh are generally like a gap here to these
Mm-hmm.
teams. So you're expecting कि जो ऊपर वाली teams ही हरा देंगी. South Africa has only small matches to go, right? So they should be able to now. So it's a very interesting situation where actually New Zealand versus India might turn out to be a virtual quarterfinal,
Yeah.
which is not how they saw the homecoming World Cup with stars like Simriti Mandana and Harpreet Kaur all in their maturity turning out. So that's something to watch out for and something that the Indian fans would be really dreading does not happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Anything to add before I go to the second thing I want to deep dive?
Any chance
Yeah.
for Shine Slander?
I'm surprised this our women's team doesn't have an Afridi in them.
Honestly.
So
Not for
very
long.
soon then.
I Jay.
Just a
Because
little note on our women's
Ah,
team. In terms of just a small encouraging note is what I'll say is I know we have not been performing that well. Also, in general, I would say we're probably a level below some of the top teams in the world in women's cricket, and I think that's obviously a reflection of the amount of investment, amount of like general sort of emphasis given to women's cricket in Pakistan. But I would say it's on the up. And I think we've seen a lot of potential in a lot of players that are coming up now. And
Mhm.
yeah, I would hope to see the PCB really, double down on this as much as they can because I think this is really a place that we can shine.
Mhm.
India's
yeah.
done really well in how they've developed their team, and I'm hoping we can follow suit. Really quickly, Sitar, I would like to get your thoughts on that. I know we're very late on this, but that if you know what I'm talking about, the in the from the India
The
Park
Muniba
game,
run out.
yeah, the run out
Yeah,
indeed, yeah,
so it's actually so इसमें मैं ना थोड़ा सा technical होगा. I hope you guys and the audience sort of bears with me. So she was. It's a very weird dismissal, right?
very.
Uh, reason being, so just for the people who did not watch that, so essentially it was very similar to your how do I say it, Johnny Bristow, Alex Carey, Ashes moment,
That's
right?
right.
So I don't know if she missed the ball or hit it, whatever it is. It went to the fielder. She knocked her bat inside, and then sort of was sort of out of the crease when the bails hit. Now here's the bit, right? Had she been running, right, it was considered a run and she was aiming to complete that run, right? The law of cricket states that the moment a batter puts the bat or some part of the body inside the crease, it's safe. उसके बाद वो छलांगे मारना शुरू कर दें वो पवेलियन जाके बैठ जाएं whatever it is no matter what happens they will not be considered out, right? So she was not attempting a run here or diving or something like that, so that scenario does not apply,
So
right?
it's more closer to a stumping, right?
Mhm.
It's but the laws of stumping also does not apply because it was not the keeper who did it, right?
Right.
So it's a very weird, very niche gray area in the laws of cricket. And by the way, here I'm not blaming Indian cricket team. I'm not blaming BCCI as much as I would love to, right? But in this case, I don't think they are at fault,
No, I
right?
don't think so.
I'm not blaming the match officials or
ICC.
Pycroft or whoever is
No,
the
no,
women's
I'm blaming Bycroft.
World Cup.
But this is, I would just like to say, as the designated hater on this panel, I don't know why ऐसी सिचुएशन में हमेशा इंडिया कहीं आसपास के होता है. Like it's all cricket controversy. They're just fucking around.
ब्रो
Like
मसला
otherwise,
ये नहीं है
give
कि
up.
इंडिया आसपास था, मसला ये है कि मोहसिन नकवी वहां पे मौजूद नहीं था ऑपोजिट कमाने के लिए।
वो बेल लेके घर चला
दैट्स
जाता है कि मेरे घर से आगे ले जाओ,
व्हाट
नॉट आउट है तो मेरे घर से आगे ले जाओ।
so so it was a very weird, like it was a very gray area where apparently if you're not attempting a run or if you're not getting stumped or you're not diving or anything of that sort, in that specific scenario you have to be inside the crease when the balls hit the bill. So I think overall, and like honestly, Muniba was looking good, and like obviously, I think we lost the margin by match by a bigger margin. So I wouldn't definitely argue that somehow वो ना होता तो हम जीत जाते. But ठीक है, we never know what happens. But just like it was very unfortunate because it was a very weird thing. And इस पे ना the fan reaction was again, so जो तुमने बात की, somehow India ends up on that, right? Somehow between the, especially from the Indian fans on Twitter वगैरह, it was a very defensive thing. भाई मतलब as a sport fan, just acknowledge that सही है, rules भंड मारते हैं. That's why rules evolve, right? That's why we learned. DRS came into play because we just realized umpires as human beings are just making too many errors. So there's no harm in acknowledging. But somehow because of acknowledgement के कुछ unfortunate हुआ एक player के साथ, somehow also somehow is considered कि ओ somehow हम अपनी टीम के खिलाफ बोल देंगे, तो पूरे पैशनेटली डिफेंस हो रहा है कि नहीं ये बिल्कुल ठीक था एज पर लॉ 31.2 ऑफ द मेलबोर्न क्रिकेट, ये पता नहीं नाम भी नहीं सुना होगा, चैट जीपीटी कॉपी पेस्टेड कमेंट्स आ रहे हैं। तो
Brock,
इतना
is
मुझे
this
समझ
true?
नहीं आया यार।
I would like some of those in our video as well. ये तुम लोग आके
So
हमारे
like
कमेंट्स में भी किया करो यार, मजा आता है थोड़ा सा ऐसे
जो
एग्रेशन
बात
देख
है,
के।
जरा
लेकिन वैसे
सतार
एक
को
बात मैं
टैग
बोलूंगा
करके पूछो।
कि पाकिस्तानियों ने भी इसको थोड़ा सा ओवरबोर्ड ले गए थे। आई थिंक टू बी ऑनेस्ट दिस वाज ए बिट ऑफ ए टेक्निकल कंफ्यूजन इन टर्म्स ऑफ हाउ टू कॉल दिस इशू। आई डोंट नो इफ देयर इज अ राइट और रॉन्ग हियर। मतलब फॉर मी पर्सनली, जब व्हेन आई फर्स्ट सॉ इट बिफोर आई had any context of the rules or anything like that, I thought it is out. And the reason for that is because मैं तो हमेशा उस लेंस से देखता हूँ कि टू मी इट फेल्ट लाइक द लॉजिक ऑफ इट अप्लाइड मोर टुवर्ड्स क्लोजर टू अ स्टंपिंग। आई नो इट टेक्निकली वाज नॉट बिकॉज इट वाजंट द कीपर, बट बिकॉज शी वाज इन her crease, but then when the moment the balls hit the wicket, she was technically not in her crease. Which is true for stumping too, right? आप शॉट खेलने के बाद भी अगर आप बाहर एक्सटेंड कर जाओ, आप स्टंप हो जाओ, तो you're out. It's not
नहीं,
really a
but Abdullah, the rules, the context bit differs, right? In a stumping situation, like why the burden of is कि just time bails strike off who can, you have to be in the creases because you're still in the shot, right? So, for example, you attempted a sweep, your back foot raised up, and you were not able to maintain that balance, right? So that's on you, right?
No, but people can get stumped even
Similarly,
after they've played the shot. So, for example, they'll swing the bat, the shot is over, and then they'll lean forward or something like that. You can still get stumped on that.
नहीं, so there's
Like
a
if you're off
term, right,
balance or
which is
whatever.
essentially, हाँ, fair, which is why so burden still applies on you कि आपने you have to be inside it, so essentially, but यहाँ पे the
Hmm.
context is a bit different because एक dead ball के clear areas define अच्छा, this is when the ball is dead and you are free to do whatever.
Right,
In
right.
this specific context, it was not. So I think it's just like unfortunate, and I hope the law sort of revamp into this. और यही होता है यार, इस तरह की जनरली बहुत ही unfortunate situation होती है, तो फिर वो रूल राइटर्स को एकदम सडनली याद आ जाता है, ओ यार ये तो भूल ही गए थे। सही है। like in
It's fair, honestly.
Grand
How
Prix
else do you
finale
go about?
deciding the season, आप suddenly decide कर लेते हो कि यार सिर्फ आधी गाड़ियां लैप करेंगी, और फिर याद आता है ओ शिट ये तो जरा मसला हो सकते हैं, तो जरा रूल को रिराइट करते हैं।
Which is a great
तो
segue into
Yeah, I was
what we
gonna
had
say this is fucking good segue.
into the previous weekend. We had the Singapore GP. Let Satar take it from here.
yeah,
Actually,
so
I
I
did
think
want to say one thing,
just
and I
to,
think वो
Yeah, yeah,
sorry
sure,
Sitar,
Mamu, go ahead.
नेचुरली मौका नहीं मिला कि किसी भी पॉइंट पे ये कहने का, बट आई थिंक एज अब्दुल्ला
Shaheen,
हैज सेड, नहीं आई थिंक वो बिट हो गया दो बार, बट मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि आई फील लाइक आवर वुमेन जस्ट अभी तो खेलो यार, मतलब हमारी हम पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट मेंस क्रिकेट टीम के फैंस हैं, so
Exactly.
there is no amount of losing that will put us off or make like
Exactly.
just take all the space you need, keep at it, लगे रहो,
Bro,
इंशाल्लाह
only
you
support,
will do
only
well
support, no
and
criticism.
you will do
हाँ,
well
जब
before
Literally,
उन्होंने
game है. It's
100%.
76.7
so
किया था ना
easy
टू
है.
द करंट वर्ल्ड चैंपियंस ऑस्ट्रेलिया, तो मैंने तो टीवी बंद कर दिया था, मैंने कहा मैच खत्म, उसके
खत्म
बाद
हो
क्या
गया,
होता है डज
जो
नॉट
देखना
मैटर,
था
यू
देख
यू
I
लिया,
जिस
agree.
पॉइंट पे
खत्म.
Same,
पहुंचे
same,
मैच
ब्रो
same,
खत्म।
same, same, same.
ब्रो अब्दुल्ला कुरैश ने भी बोला कि यार women क्रिकेट में इन्वेस्टमेंट कम है, इसलिए अंडरस्टैंड समझ आती है कि वहां पे डिफरेंस है टॉप ब्लॉक. भाई मेन क्रिकेट में तो दबा के इन्वेस्टमेंट है, वहां भी वही फर्क है. तो मतलब
हाँ
ये क्या इस एनालिसिस पे हम आते हैं बाद में, बट कभी,
हाँ
हाँ,
बट ये
but yeah I think
आई
बट
डू
आई
थिंक
थिंक
there was a
पाकिस्तान, हाँ, कोर
हम्म.
स्ट्रक्चरल इश्यूज हैं जो ऑब्वियसली दोनों साइड्स को प्ले करती हैं.
तो
बट ऑन टू F1.
एनीवे F1 पे स्टार्ट करने के लिए मैं सबको डिस्क्लेमर दे दूं, आई एम अ मैसिव बैक्स फैन, सही है, सो फॉर एनी ऑल ऑफ माय ओपिनियंस फ्रॉम हियर ऑन आर एक्सट्रीमली बायस्ड.
Oh
So
my
I
God.
personally enjoyed the 2021 Vivint Motor Racing moment. I was there live, so like one of the favorite moments that I look back on. But essentially, yeah. So I think the season now, I think first half of sorts, बस लग रहा था कि अच्छा it's over, right? Since summer break, Red Bull has done some massive upgrades. I don't know how much of
yeah
it can be attributed to Horner going away, uh, and the new guy
Just let me
coming
throw this
in,
in there really
and the
quickly.
upgrades that they
Apparently,
come.
rumors are that Ferrari want Horner. But anyway, we'll get to that later.
but
नहीं
he's
तो
going
फरारी बेसिकली कह रहा
वहाँ
है
ना
कि यार हम बैड पीआर में और कैसे नीचे जा सकते हैं, तो वो कह रहा है मैं किसको भी बुला लूं.
Mason Greenwood. Sorry. पीआर ही करनी है अगर बैड तो why not?
हाँ, नेक्स्ट अप
Anyway,
उनका स्पोक्स पर्सन एंड्रयू टेट हो जाएगा. नहीं तो बस कह रहे हैं.
अब थोड़ी सी सऊदी इन्वेस्टमेंट
तो
भी है साथ में तो साथ हो जाए सारा.
सब कुछ.
yes.
जो अभी भी होपफुल हो रहा है ना, वो फिर बस खाई से कूद, बस क्या है, बस हो गया मेरा यार. Anyway, so I think the season is turned on because like Max has been in super form. Singapore GP expectedly काफी disappointing थी. Collie decided everything. Max का थोड़ा रोना धोना भी था. Here I will admit कि वो लैंडो मेरे सामने आ गया था, बहुत दूर था वो. But Max just outbraked himself and 0.2 seconds lost, which was pole. अगर वो so this is a bit interesting. So इवन दो मैक्स ने बेसिकली कहा कि अच्छा मुझे सिंगापुर जीपी जीतनी थी, मैं नहीं जीता, तो बिकॉज ऑफ मैं तो टाइटल का सोच ही नहीं रहा. मुझे लगता है ये इट्स टिपिकल क्रैप सेइंग लाइक ओ मुझे तो रिकॉर्ड्स की परवाह नहीं है, मुझे टेंशन नहीं है, मैं कभी भी छोड़ सकता हूँ, ये जो एवरी
Hmm.
नाउ एंड देन थोड़ा कूल बनने के लिए बातें करता है. बट द फैक्ट ऑफ द मैटर इज एवरी रेस इज सपोज टू टेक 7 points ऑफ ऑस्कर एंड देन होप फॉर ऑस्कर डीक्यू. ही टुक 6 points. So as far as the in purpose of that race is considered, वो सर्व हो गया. uh, बट हाँ ऑब्वियसली अगर वो 0.2 सेकंड ना लूज करता, पोल ले लेता, तो 6 + 7 13 पॉइंट्स वुड हैव बीन अ रियली गुड स्विंग, व्हिच डिड नॉट हैपन. बट व्हाट वाज रियली इंटरेस्टिंग वाज क्योंकि अभी तक हम जा रहे थे, सो ही डिड इट वेल इन मोंजा, दे डिड रियली वेल इन बाकू, व्हिच वाज लो डाउन फॉर ट्रैक. सो एसेंशियली द पॉपुलर ओपिनियन वाज कि अच्छा यार ठीक है, लो डाउन फोर्स पे तो कर रहे हो, बट Singapore was the true litmus test, and in a high downforce track, they did not burn through their tires, unlike Ferrari, जो कि I think formation lap से लाइक को शुरू कर दिया था उन्होंने. बेचारा लिकलक रोने को आ रहा था कि मैं करूं तो क्या करूं. बट एसेंशियली तो बट वो हाई डाउनफोर्स पे भी प्रूव करते. नाउ दिस इज वेयर इट गेट्स इंटरेस्टिंग, राइट? एंड आई जस्ट फिनिश माय टेक हियर कि नाउ द नेक्स्ट 5 races are, you've got Austin this weekend, you've got Brazil next, then Mexico, right? Then Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, right? So Austin, Brazil, Qatar, Abu Dhabi are considered to be medium downforce tracks. Vegas and Mexico are leaning towards the low downforce track. So now because the Red Bull threat is genuine, and if it has done well on very polar opposites like Singapore and like Baku, so the argument is to be made कि वो consistently करेंगे. So it is not out of proportions to expect अगर Max सारी ऐसे जीत जाएगा, especially if it's a motivated Max. And now that McLaren has won their WCC and there will be no such papaya rules, which translates to basically favor Lando at all time rules.
चलो भाई ये
What
ऐसा
So,
तो
happening?
कनाल पे डेलुलु रख रहे हैं हम.
नहीं,
मत
so
नहीं,
by the way,
मत
Mamu,
मारो इस बात
I'm just
पे.
saying
on
it's
the
not out of
Delulu,
question. That
uh,
does not mean he will still win it. We still are
no,
dependent
Yeah,
on
I mean,
Oscar
yeah, no.
DQ.
Satar
I
was
wouldn't,
Satar
yeah,
was
no, go
in
ahead.
Karachi. Sorry. मैं कह रहा हूँ Satar was in Karachi I think 3 weeks ago. And ये को I think 2 ढाई रेस पहले से भी इसकी यही उम्मीद है कि कितना मजा आ जाएगा यार. और ऐसे हो जाए,
नहीं,
और ऐसे हो, दिस इज लाइक, दिस
नहीं बट
इज द ट्रू, आई थिंक हमारी जीन्स में है ऐसे ही। स्पोर्ट, कोई भी स्पोर्ट है ऐसे ही देखेंगे हम देखेंगे ऐसे ही, कि उसकी चाची
यार
मर
बट
जाए,
देखो ना,
उसका मामा प्लेन पे गिरे, और फिर अगर हो जाए ना, दो डीक्यू चाहिए अभी।
नहीं बट यार
अभी दो डीक्यू पूरे चाहिए होंगे
रियलिस्टिकली
यार उसको, पियास्ट्री को। और भाई
वो
उम्मीद लगा के बैठा
नहीं
है,
दो,
इसने पैसा भी
एक मिल
लगाया
गया ना,
होगा,
एक
वन एक्स
बात।
बेट।
तो बाकी पे तो मिल
ये
गया। अब देख दूसरी बात ये
देखो
है कि
एक
106
सॉरी
पॉइंट्स से अगर कोई कमबैक मारे, लाइक इट्स अ स्पोर्ट्स, लाइक उसके बाद तो ब्रो वो शूमेकर प्रॉब्ली अपने बिस्तर से उठ के बोलेगा ब्रो ये गोट का टाइटल तो ले ले यार, प्लीज तो ले ले। सही है।
अच्छा
तो
फ्री होने की
इट्स
जरूरत
जस्ट
नहीं है
एन
सत्तार।
इनक्रेडिबल स्पोर्टिंग
मैं
हिस्ट्री।
देखो मैं ये what I will say is I think last season at some point we were also in a similar position with Lando or Max where the McLaren had become the best car and I think the question was could potentially Lando do it, तब भी I think point gap similar ही था। अभी क्या 63 points है, इस तरह का कुछ है, right if I'm not wrong,
हाँ
60 70 इस तरह का कुछ।
63। हाँ
Yeah,
मैं अपने
so
बोर्ड पे जा वो
At
बेडरूम में
one
जाके
point it
देखता
was
हूँ, चार्ट पेपर
83
पे
शायद।
हाँ
मैंने
जरा
लिखा
तुम
हुआ है
देखना।
मैंने।
नहीं बट आई वुड से कि लास्ट ईयर जब ये हुआ था विद लैंडो, आई थिंक एंड आई थिंक समवन हैज सेड दिस, मैं पढ़ रहा था किसी का, आई फॉरगॉट हु इट वाज, बट दे सेड दैट लास्ट ईयर दे वर आस्क्ड अबाउट लैंडो एंड they had said that who was this? I've forgotten. One of the F1 presenters said that basically last year we were hyping Lando up that as if he could compete for the sake of good cinema, for the sake of good TV or whatever. But
बिकॉज
this
इज
year,
गुड।
when you talk about Max, the difference is that that was Lando and that this is Max, and Max actually can do it. And I think there's some
हाँ
truth to that, yeah. I mean, like the ultimate, I think, thing here is that the guy does not leave much like वो उसको एक सेकंड की भी कहीं भी जगह मिलती है, एक मतलब एक सेंटीमीटर की जगह मिलेगी वो घुसा देगा, लाइक वो कोई आसरा नहीं करता है। सो इट्स I honestly think I don't like Max. Okay, just to be clear here for everyone to know, I'm unfortunately a Ferrari fan, but I think we are seeing a living legend in him right now, and I think and I think this season more than any other season has made me change my mind on him completely in the sense that I do think he is an absolute generational talent that I think the likes of which we have not seen in a long time, maybe even since Lewis. Um, so yeah, I think yeah, I have nothing else to add to that except
नहीं
the
वैसे
fact that
जस्ट कमिंग ऑन टू
I
दिस,
agree, Weston.
I would not fully bet against him right now.
yeah, so coming on to this, so Vamu and I were discussing this when we watched the Baku race together. So you liking him a little bit more is, by the way, not just because of his driving. I think we were discussing कि generally जब थोड़ा सा बंदा जीत जाता है ना, और थोड़ा एक तो what he is now right now going for is थोड़ी सी underdog story। अच्छा यार अगर थोड़ा सा फैन just for the sporting fun of it। दूसरा इतना ज्यादा जीत चुका है कि अब थोड़ा सा वो arrogance भी कम हो गई है। तो जनरली वी सी अ पैटर्न के एक आप पीक एसोल पॉइंट टच करते हो, उसके बाद थोड़ा
Yeah,
सा आप लाइकेबल होते जाते हो
yeah,
टू द
yeah.
पॉइंट के आज वेटेल इज
100%।
worshipped as like one of the nicest
This
guy
more than
on the
Vettel,
paddock।
this happened with Lewis, by the way. So I like if you remember 2008 वगैरह वाला Lewis Hamilton जो था, he was a piece of shit. Like I mean I personally didn't like him.
He's
Again,
an
I was a
asshole.
Ferrari fan back in the day, तो मेरी तो बहुत हटती थी Lewis Hamilton से। And like I मतलब मैं it wasn't until maybe 2018 type era, 2019 when I was like, oh, he's a great guy. I mean, and there was a lot of the obviously the off-field stuff, the kind of things he was saying. But उससे पहले, like if you look at his rivalry stuff like that, that guy was equal to Max, if not worse than Max, in terms of being an absolute conjure. He would
Yeah, I
not
think
give
they
an inch
all
to
were.
anybody.
Look
Yeah,
at
They,
yeah,
Schumacher
I
I
agree.
bumped
I agree.
to
I
yeah,
agree with Satar's point more. Did I cut you? Sorry, मेरे थोड़ा सा by the way delay से ही चल रहा है।
नहीं नहीं बोलो बोलो।
But adding on, I agree with Satar's point. I think that you see that this is a common theme. Uh, I think he had just started to touch upon Vettel. 2010, 2011, Vettel was a fucking asshole. So was Lewis Hamilton back in his
100%.
time.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, these guys
Like in that era had
were
its own
hated.
guard, Kimi Raikkonen and Jensen
Schumacher
Button
was
and all the
also
guys
an
who
asshole,
were
by the way. There's no two ways
Yeah, yeah.
about
So
it.
I mean, it's only later on. I think once you win a lot, that massive stick up your ass just kind of disappears. I think थोड़ी सी Max वगैरह के तो case में I feel like the Max is also now just used to the kind of media stuff and everything as well. Like he comes off better now. He used to come off an absolute dick pellet. I think he's just gotten used to that. I think he no longer has the pressure. So he's doing more, he's having more fun. Uh, uh, Back in, and this is a very silly thing to point out, but back in 2020, 21, 22 types, ये grill the grid वगैरह में you would never see Max. Now You see him quite often, like every second, third episode में वो होता है, ऐसा खेल रहा होता है. So I think we've definitely seen that shift. But also to agree to what Abdullah Quresh said initially, I think 100% undeniable. And more so as time passed because 21 was fucking unfair. I mean, to be at that point is absolutely fucking great. I think he deserved to be at that point, but I think the skewing, I clearly believe that I think that was off. The next year, the year after that, I think you can make similar arguments about pretty much every driver. I think Camp Max was making those arguments for Lewis, and the time before that, there is a huge part of machinery playing a significant role. But I think this year specifically, uh, absolutely just cements the fact that sure there will be the car at days, and there will be the team at days, and there will be the FIA at days. But you can take all of that away, and Max is still fucking Rami, like undeniable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so on
Well said.
the grill the grid piece, तो मुझे लगता था कि ना जनरली पाकिस्तान के जो क्रिकेट बॉयज हैं उनकी मीडिया ट्रेनिंग बहुत कम हुई होती है, राइट? साइंस इज द मैन एंड ऑल दैट, अंटिल आई सॉ मैक्स, उस बेचारे की उससे भी कम हुई थी. मैन वाज अ वर्ल्ड चैंपियन एंड डिड नॉट नो हाउ टू एड्रेस बेसिक प्रेस क्वेश्चंस लाइक के रेस में क्या हुआ, या कैन आई गेट आउट ऑफ हियर, ऑल ऑफ दिस, लाइक ब्रो मतलब
नाम भूल गया
कमेंटेटरी
अपना.
बैठा है.
Yeah. No, I think he had a chip on his shoulder. I think वो वाली बात है कि firstly he came into F1 extremely young and he was competing with like behemoths like Lewis and all these guys. So I think a lot of that was also him sort of like his own probable insecurities and whatever. You know that mindset that Jose Mourinho mindset where it's us against the world and all of that, which is I think sort of what you get boxed into. Obviously, his abusive father doesn't help. But ultimately, I think now, look, I'm saying personality, interviews, all that aside, like वो तो चलो ठीक है. But I think just like his performance this season is that now he's left no doubt about, whether it was just the car or whether it was just the team or whatever. I think like
नहीं,
Red Bull has
definitely.
had a crappy car half this season and he has outperformed the hell out of it in a way that I have not seen any driver do for lots of years. So I think kudos to Max and we still don't
But
hope
I
he
think
wins.
सीजन एंड
But
टुवर्ड्स काफी अच्छा होगा. 5-6 races left, regardless of who wins or not, right? I think entertainment काफी
yeah,
मिलने वाली है, especially race tracks भी conducive to good racing है, so that should be a lot of
Mhm.
fun.
yeah.
Anyway, moving away
Before
from
we before
cheering
before
on
we move
Horas.
on,
From
Satar, what
one,
did you before we move on? What did you say? How many races are left?
6,
6 के बाद क्या आता है?
6, 7, 8, 7.
हाँ, तो
Give
moving
us
on.
eight.
7-time world champion, boys. Let's go. Arsalan Ash, greatest of all time. Quad of
मैं भी तैयार करके बैठा था अपना सेगवे.
हाँ, मैं इससे पहले भी एक दफा
गुड वन.
जब लिविंग लेजेंड वाली बात हुई थी, मैं तब भी सेगवे करने को, लेकिन वो अब्दुल्ला पे शुरू हो गया कैसे मिनिमम से मैक्सिमम वर्स्टैपिन बना वो बंदा, लेकिन वो अलग बात है.
नहीं तुम्हारा from one Red Bull goat to another Red Bull
To
goat.
another, to the actual Red Bull goat, Papa of Pakistan, Papa of the world basically. मैं तो कहता हूँ एक आध
Yes, yes.
सैयारा उसके
Power
नाम,
of the world,
प्लूटो का
baby.
नाम अरसलान ऐश रख दो ब्रो, बहुत हो गया, किसी को ऐसी प्लूटो श्लूटो की
Yeah,
फिक्र नहीं है.
yeah.
बंदा मैं can't stop winning at, he's addicted to winning at this point, bro. Honestly, put him in the Ronaldo Messi rivalry, he probably wins that too. It's my opinion, you know.
Yeah,
Like he's
yeah.
just
I would
If he
God
played
right now.
Spurs,
like to
And
emphasize.
bro,
he would be better than Jahangir Khan, of course.
yeah, he's Jahangir Khan के बाद हमारा best competitive athlete Arsalan Ash. Let's go. No one has done what he's done before. अभी win के बाद भी देखा कितना humble बंदा है bro. उछल रहा है, नाच रहा है ये. Woohoo, small guy from Lahore beating the fucking world, you
That
know.
was a very wholesome moment.
That was
A very wholesome
adorable.
moment
The
when
hug,
he wins.
the hug.
John Ding actually hugs him back and like is
Exactly,
equally
bro.
excited. I think that was very
And
wholesome. By the way, this is we touched upon rivalry in the esports episode. We didn't touch about the wholesome kind of moment and like the entire
hmm
that things that not within the entire community, but also specifically Pakistan and Korea. They have like it's a love hate kind of thing. Like they're वही पाकिस्तान इंडिया ओजी टाइम्स के फील्ड पे एक
हाँ.
दूसरे की मारेंगे और फिर बाहर जाके साथ में चाय
hmm
नाश्ता dosti yaari and all
Indeed,
of that.
indeed.
So it's that I would just when you talk about Jahangir Khan, when you talk about other athletes, I think the success rate, if you put that in percentages, I don't think we have ever had. We might have, but I think at least one. Arsalan has appeared in 9 EVOs
hmm
and he's won seven. 7 out of 9 is fucking insane, guys. It is
Indeed,
unheard of.
indeed,
This kind
indeed.
of dominance.
हाँ
This
मतलब
is max 24, max 23 type shit. Guys,
Mm-hmm.
nine
Insane.
appearances and he wins seven. This is
Never
like
seen
the
anything
World
like it.
Cup, right?
हाँ मतलब if it was
Indeed.
not an individual sport, I think as a dynasty, like this is parallel to Aussies of 2000s or Bulls of the
Easy,
90s. So
Yeah.
वो उस
easy.
लेवल पे जाके आप बात करते हो 7 out of 9 तो आई थिंक
Exactly.
Yeah.
यूनाइटेड ने भी शायद इतना ज्यादा प्रीमियर लीग
Hmm.
गो ना जीती हो
I think
Yeah.
वही है.
And
Seven
it's
बट
is
just the
impressive.
good, it's
Seven
just the
is
good
impressive, but
spirits, yeah.
7 out of 9 is just out
Yeah,
of
yeah,
this
yeah,
world.
yeah.
No,
नहीं,
and
and
I
अरे
think
मतलब,
ईवो
yeah,
he's
मुझे एक बात
he's
बताओ and
हाँ.
I had some questions. So EVO is like at par with the World Cup या एक second degree competition होता है क्या होता है? EVO is the most premium
Yeah, how do
esports.
how do esports work? I wasn't there for the episode. Like, मुझे सिर्फ ये बता दो कि is it more like tennis in the sense that you have these Grand Slam tournaments and they're all sort of equal to each other in a way, or is it more like the World Cup
Uh,
types where it's like
I mean,
मैं
you
it's
have like this
थोड़ा
one
सा इसका
actually
thing?
one,
समझाता
yeah.
हूँ.
यार सो
There's
अब्दुल्ला टू
about
आंसर योर
two.
क्वेश्चन मुझे पता है चार मुझे बॉयज पता है जिन्होंने ना बड़ा जबरदस्त इस पे एनालिसिस किया हुआ है
हाँ,
आई
मैंने
रियली
सुना
इंसिस्ट दैट यू गो बैक
मैंने
एंड
सुना
वॉच इट उसमें
मैंने
काफी
सुना
डिटेल में हमने कवर किया बट आई थिंक वामू विल प्रोवाइड यू एन एक्सप्रेस समरी ऑफ इट
मैं
Yes,
एक
yes,
क्विक
yes.
शॉट में बताता हूँ. दुनिया में बहुत सारे टूर्नामेंट्स होते हैं डिफरेंट डिफरेंट जॉनर्स के. फाइटिंग गेम्स का स्पेसिफिकली जो मोस्ट प्रेस्टिजियस
Mm-hmm.
टूर्नामेंट है, विच इज काइंड लाइक द वर्ल्ड कप एसेंशियली. तुम समझ लो ये ओडीआई वाला वर्ल्ड कप है. और अभी जो सऊदी लेकर आया है ई स्पोर्ट्स वर्ल्ड कप, विच इज कॉल्ड ईडब्ल्यूसी ई स्पोर्ट्स वर्ल्ड कप, दैट इज मोर लाइक T20 bling, more
Mm-hmm.
money, more from that shit. So I would just like to say,
नो
by the way, Arsalan has won this tournament 7 times and collectively has made less money, less winning price than being 18th and 19th in one of the EWCs. So पैसे का बहुत फर्क है. अभी he's won about $8,000 टू विन ईवो फ्रांस.
Mm-hmm.
18 से 19 हजार डॉलर जो है ना, वो लास्ट पोजीशन का था ई स्पोर्ट्स वर्ल्ड कप में. तो ये फर्क है. दिस इज मोर प्रेस्टिजियस. ईवो इज मोस्ट मोर प्रेस्टिजियस. ईवो के अंदर भी अब लोकेशंस होना स्टार्ट हुई हैं. ईवो मोस्ट टिपिकली हैपेंस इन जापान, व्हिच इज द मोर प्रेस्टिजियस वन, बट इट आल्सो हैपेंस मोर commercially successfully in Las Vegas because
Mm-hmm.
bigger, more players come, more money and all of
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. अभी उन्होंने क्या कहते हैं, फ्रांस भी स्टार्ट किया है.
Mm-hmm.
France was the inaugural France Evo, which Arsalan won, and then they're adding a fourth one. मुझे उस दिन भी याद नहीं था, आज भी याद नहीं आ रहा, but they're adding a fourth destination next year as well. तो अगले साल से 4 Evos होंगे, location based, and then there is an esports World Cup, which is more money and more bling and all of that stuff. I would still say it's still a bigger deal to win Evos, but not just because of that, because also Arsalan has never won an EWC yet, and he has 7 of Evos.
Lekin bro, the way they're adding Evos every calendar year, मतलब at this point वो बस दे ही दो उसको ट्रॉफी अरसलान को. बार बार क्यों तुमने उसको
हाँ.
दुनिया घुमा घुमा के ट्रॉफी देना है? Just
अब
like
by the way,
just
सही है ना तो उसको स्टार्ट फाइटिंग का मौका दे रहे हैं ना
हाँ,
I
I
think 10 साल
suppose.
के
कि
within 10
25-26
years.
जीत ले एक दफा
I think within 10 years Evo Lahore होगा, by the way.
Oh,
Evo
nice,
होना तो चाहिए.
nice. We should go for that.
Yeah, for
Not that
sure. Even
3 out of 4 of
और
us aren't in Pakistan, but we should go for that.
लेकिन bro, ये
Hey,
फाइनल कितना
let's
प्यारा
fucking
था
hope all
यार.
4 of us have to come back to Pakistan for it.
Yeah,
Done,
let's.
done,
I
done.
mean, it's not the problem isn't coming to Pakistan. The problem is being in Lahore. But like, anyway, um,
We can't be slandering Lahore
यार
मैं
as
तो
लाहौर
per
गया
मेरे
ब्रो.
को
मैं
Lahore.
लाहौर
रियलाइज हुआ
गया
है
ब्रो. मैंने लाहौर गया. मैंने स्मैश खाया. फिर क्या करूं? अब
अच्छा
क्या
मुझे एक
करूंगा
सवाल
मैं?
है तो अब जो ऐश 7 दफा जीत गया तो क्या हमें एक और फाइल गिराना पड़ेगा या उसका इजी सीन है चलो
मुझे इसमें थोड़ा सा
Let's
एनीवे
by
leave
the
it
way
at
बोलना है.
that. Let's leave it at
I
that.
feel like
Wait,
ये
did you
थोड़ा
guys
सा.
watch the video? Not to politicize this, but did you guys watch the Donald Trump and Shehbaz Sharif video?
Oh my God. That's a whole
Oh
video we should do on that,
Jesus!
by the way.
Oh my
Oh my
God!
God.
It's
Oh my God.
exactly
Oh my
like
God.
in some sense that's exactly like Arsalan. दोनों ने competition के end पे अरसलान ने भी शहबाज शरीफ ने भी हक दिया.
शहबाज ने तो नहीं हगा.
चलो
Explain that
ऑन
क्या
shit.
दैट
बात कर
नोट
रहे हो? शहबाज ने तो नहीं हगा. I think he was on the top of his game. I think
Bro,
he had one
उसने
of the best days
आंख
of his
मारी
life.
है डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प को यूं करके.
वो
Oh
सब
my
छोड़ो,
God!
वो सब छोड़ो, वो सब छोड़ो.
Oh my
But
God! It was so embarrassing
चलो
to
ऑन
see
दैट
that,
नोट
bro.
ठीक है इसको हम अपने व्हाट्सएप चैट तक ही रखेंगे मूविंग ऑन आई थिंक राउंड अप करते हुए आज की एपिसोड आई थिंक लेट्स कम बैक टू
one
आई
more
थिंक
one one
फुटबॉल
more
वी
topic.
वांटेड टू
Yeah.
कवर
तो फुटबॉल भी चलो मैं क्या इस पे आ जाता हूँ, ये जनरली इन
Ooh.
ईपीएल के ऊपर आ जाते हैं थोड़ा सा। आई नो सतार वांट्स टू टॉक अ लिटिल बिट अबाउट द बोरिंग इंटरनेशनल ब्रेक। आई एम नॉट दैट इंटरेस्टेड इन इट, बट यू नो यू कैन गो ahead. On the Premier League, I would say two important things I want to talk about. The first actually is Liverpool. They've had now three losses on the trot, one in the Champions
Mm-hmm.
League, two in the Premier League. Um, and उससे पहले भी actually, if you looked at their underlying numbers, they weren't that great. They were scraping through a lot of games, lots of last minute winners, which are awesome, obviously. But वो वाली बात होती है कि you eventually retort to your mean. Um, so I think they might be going through a bit of a sketchy period.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they're going to come out of it or if this is generally maybe their level isn't that high. I mean, I would say for me, the one, obviously, by the way, just to be clear about it, I think they are probably, I mean, they are easily the best team in the league. They won the they won the Premier League last year. But having said that, I think the one thing they've done, and I think Jamie Carragher was talking about this idea that they have Real Madrided themselves into the position that, like, by signing Wirtz, by signing Isak, by signing um who's Ekatike.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and this is like what, like 300 million or something. Then they
Yeah.
spent. I think that
Mm-hmm.
seems to, I think, now become a little bit of an issue, because I remember having these problems at United. Obviously, we weren't winning the league at the time, but just this idea that you suddenly have got these players with massive price tags, which now suddenly have to perform in a team that won the league the previous year, so it has to be a certain standard. And I wonder if that's what it is that's causing this issue. I think the problem is, like, for example, you got Wirtz and you clearly are playing better when he's not there. Now the problem is 117, 118, whatever million he cost. How do you justify that long term? This is not a solution where, like, Wirtz doesn't play the whole season. I mean, because
Like,
then that's a massive failure in the transfer market. Obviously, in the league
like,
it papers over
yeah.
all the cracks, but uh, I just
Like in
think
a
that
villa, that sounds a little trigger happier. I mean, I feel but the man also needs some time. Just because he's 117 or
yeah,
118 million doesn't
yeah.
mean that he will hit the ground. Like he absolutely has to hit the ground.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I
So I
agree.
mean,
100%.
mhm.
And yeah,
Their
he's a
football
great
might
player.
evolve in a
He's a
year,
great player.
year and a half. Exactly. Next year, kya pata, they're playing a style of football and they bring in some striker or something, and
Huh.
exactly, you know.
I was
So I
actually
mean,
going to
it's
get to that, because मैं यही कहने वाला था कि I think the thing with Slot is, I think last season he came in and I think he just sort of took the ball that Klopp had left and ran with it, in terms of how the team played and all of those things. Made a
hmm
little bit of tweaks here and there. I think थोड़ा stylistically हल्का फुल्का
hmm
change किया था, but generally the core of the team, the way they played football, I think was very familiar to all the players. I think this is the first time that he's had to sort of create something, especially with like Ekitike, Isak coming up top, Salah slightly dropping in form, so they can't like fully rely on him scoring like 40 goals and again.
hmm
Which, by the way, I have no doubt that the Premier League will start and Salah will score a hat trick again, because that guy is unstoppable.
hmm
But yeah, I just think it's an interesting place to be for Liverpool. Let's see what happens. I think Arsenal. I don't want to say it, but but it looks like this might be the season for Arsenal to actually go ahead and win the league. Um,
I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I'm a Chelsea fan, but like the problem with Arsenal is, I mean, you need a certain kind of consistency to get there, you know. And matlab, I don't let me just double check what the table looks like right now. But if I mean, actually, Satar, take this on. I need to see the table.
यार
Yeah,
नहीं आई थिंक बट I think यार मतलब थोड़ा सा डायनामिक्स भी चेंज हो चुका है आई थिंक वी वर स्पॉइल्ड a bit by the 100 points table. I don't think every season is going to be 100 points also.
yeah.
So I think to me at this point जो जितना भी मैंने सीजन अभी तक देखा है
100 points तो नहीं
तो
थे लास्ट
थैंक्स टू
सीजन भी।
इंटरनेशनल ब्रेक हम ज्यादा नहीं देख पाए apparently there's another in 4 weeks so पता नहीं क्या चल रहा है but I think जितना भी देखा है I don't think any team is capable of that, so it then comes about capitalizing it, and I do think
hmm
Arsenal stand a chance. But on that moment I also want to bring up United a little bit,
Why?
right?
We're
So
talking about top of the table, bro. Why do you want to bring up
नहीं नहीं,
United?
अब वो टॉप द टेबल हो गया ना, अब हम बॉटम ऑफ द टेबल पे आते हैं।
Bottom of the
हाँ
table. अच्छा तो बहरहाल
हाँ अब
Brighton जो
हम
है.
yeah, I think nahi, but United I just want to touch one base. Like I think generally, like मतलब ठीक है, it's a very confusing place for a United fan to be in because Amorim पे इतना ज्यादा इन्वेस्ट कर दिया कि अब थोड़ा sunk cost fallacy भी थोड़ी सी वो हो रही है कि अच्छा यार at what point do you say कि यार बस pull off करते हैं. But I think
या
generally looking at the numbers, I think they speak a bigger picture than that कि I don't think the boys are doing that bad, right? The results are
Yeah,
pointing towards
top
in
of the
terms of
XG table.
uh, हाँ XG सही कर रहे हैं,
सही नहीं कर
पासेस
रहे,
सही
नंबर
बढ़ रहे हैं.
वन।
I do हाँ
Made
हाँ
up
सही
stat,
मतलब
bro.
ठीक है
Means
at one point पर ठीक है ना
XG
I
only
suppose so
makes
then but
sense in context with something that is actually working out, you know.
नहीं but there's a
No,
reason why
not
all this
really. I mean,
analytics gets stored because there's the means to an end. It's not like जब तुम सिर्फ wins column पे देखो and you can stop attributing how that win column racked up, right? और अगर XG ज्यादा है that means I'm not saying they're a champion side, Champions League जीत जाएंगे, treble
Yeah,
जीतने वाले हैं. I'm just saying it seems that things are
I mean
moving
upwards.
in a
Yeah.
direction, in a positive direction. And नए players आए हैं. I do feel like थोड़ा सा मेनू के साथ थोड़ा सा हार्ड डन हो रहा है. I do feel Bruno should be a little bit up top, but Mboma जिस तरह खेल रहा है, शशको जिस तरह खेल रहा
Mm-hmm.
है, Cunha has been
only in the
disappointing
last two
so far.
games,
But
bro.
यार बट ये सारे नए बॉयज भी हैं, अभी आ रहे हैं, प्रीमियर लीग सेटल इन हो रहे हैं, यूनाइटेड में सेटल हो रहे हैं. तो आई थिंक मतलब आई डोंट थिंक मतलब मुझे लगता है कि अगर टॉप 4 इस दफा उठा लें, टॉप 5 भी उठा लें, आई थिंक दैट्स अ जॉब रियली वेल डन.
Of course
उसके
it is,
बाद इज
bro.
वेयर वी
Top
एक्चुअली
five. If
स्ट्रगल.
United manage top five, that's a phenomenal job done,
अच्छा,
bro. अमूरिन की मूर्ति बनाओ अपने घर के ऊपर, रोज फूल चढ़ाना तुम उसको 1 साल तक, bro.
Radcliffe
Top
recently came
five.
out. Radcliffe recently came out with a
रियली
statement
Yes.
हैप्पी
saying,
फॉर हिम.
That's what I said.
no, he came out with a statement
Congratulations,
saying
man.
that United is that there's that even though there is media pressure and all that to sack Amorim, it's just simply not going to happen. I think he was asked a very specific question that if the Glazers asked you to sack him, would you sack him? And he said it's not going to happen. So they make that what you will of it. But he basically said that we want that Amarim needs to prove what he can do in 3 years, not right now,
Mm-hmm.
not immediately. And he said that people who expect overnight success are stupid. He's right. But so just एक थोड़ा सा मुझे इसमें ये अपना ओपिनियन देना होगा कि आई वाज वाचिंग बट्टा फास्ट का एक एपिसोड जो एमन नकवी ने अभी एक किया था सोलो एपिसोड. ही डिड 30 minutes टॉकिंग अबाउट द फॉल आउट फ्रॉम द चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी. सॉरी द व्हाट वाज इट, क्या खेला था हमने अभी, एशिया कप. एंड
Mm-hmm.
he was talking about this idea of the ship of Theseus. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this allegory. But
Yes, I am,
so
but I'm
so
not
the
familiar
idea
with
is
football.
yeah, so the idea is that अगर एक शिप है और उसके उसके अंदर आप स्लोली उसका एक हर एक पार्ट जो है वो आप चेंज कर लेते हो और ओवर टाइम वो शिप के अंदर ऐसा कोई भी पार्ट नहीं है जो ओरिजिनली उसके अंदर था, तो इज दैट रियली द सेम शिप? एंड आई वुड से कि ये, एंड ही वाज ऑब्वियसली मेकिंग दिस analogy to Pakistan cricket, but I felt कि it actually might fit United much more than that. Um, and I think because वही बात है कि since Ferguson we have tried absolutely everything, right? Like you've seen like four or
Mm-hmm.
five different managers come in, four or five different styles come in, all of that stuff. Players have completely changed. I mean, even now, like, you know, we're looking at a team that is like completely different to what it was under Van Gaal or what it was under Jose or whatever, right? So honestly, at some point ये सवाल होता है कि what is it about successful teams that actually make them good? Like, you know, it's not the players, it's not the managers.
Mm-hmm.
Those things change all the time. Uh, what is it? You know, what
Bro,
makes
it's
us so
yeah.
truly?
I feel like
Um,
it's
and
it's
yeah,
exactly how United is trying to approach this, or I mean how Chelsea for that matter has tried to approach it. You try a bunch of different things and you try to build them in like you try things not to find success, you try things to find a good rhythm, a good momentum that you feel like हाँ इसमें कुछ मजे का है, इसके ऊपर और टाइम इन्वेस्ट किया जा सकता है. ऐसे क्लॉप ही है. क्लॉप ने मतलब आते ही कोई इसने आके मतलब इतनी आर्ने स्लॉट हैज उसका विन परसेंटेज पर ईयर प्लेड at वो per year managed Liverpool is much higher. But that's I feel like what it's about. You need try different combinations, find something that works, and then find ways to like sort of like keep recreating that. And I feel like that's been United's problem. That's currently Chelsea's problem. Like even in the times that we did win something like the Champions League and all, we weren't a top
no,
European
but
club.
Subbu, here's the thing, that I don't know
But
if you can compare this to Chelsea, because I think with Chelsea it's like that they will have a new manager, they'll have a bounce, they'll
mhm.
do really well one season and then fall off. I think the
But
problem with United
that's
has been that we have
yeah,
consistently sucked for so many
that's
years. Like
yeah.
now it's coming to a point where it's like, can a new manager change anything? Can new players change anything? And this it's very true for Pakistan too, right?
How
Where
do you
like you see the
yeah.
same script being played out every single time. Uh, and there's just, and you'll have a few good matches, you'll win an FA Cup
Mm-hmm.
randomly, stuff like that will happen, but it doesn't actually change anything. Like we don't become a good team at all. And there's just nothing that's going in that direction. हर साल हम as fans उठ के we hang our hat on some new issue. इस दफा we're like, oh, it's because Bruno is playing deep, or oh, it's the formation,
हम्म
three
ब्रो
at the
ये
back
मतलब
doesn't suit us.
लिवरपूल फैंस का
अगले
यही
सीजन कोई और
स्ट्रगल था
रीजन होगी.
ऑल ऑफ 2000 मतलब
Exactly,
लिवरपूल सिंस द
that's
स्टार्ट ऑफ द
exactly right.
प्रीमियर लीग मॉडर्न एरा ऑफ प्रीमियर लीग टिल
That's
लाइक
exactly right.
आपका एग्जैक्ट तो मतलब
That's
it's a
exactly right.
combination thing one
There
thing
was
needs to work to
I'd
be
just like to end on this
yes.
one note. There was something that I don't know if Pochettino is managing the US men's
hmm
national team, if you guys
he
don't
is
know.
yeah
And most recently, this post came out about how उसने जो उसकी टीम जब आई हुई थी उसने बोर्ड पे बड़ा बड़ा एक चीज लिखी हुई थी, and that was culture eats strategy for breakfast. This is not his own line. He's taken this
it's
from
not
HP or something,
every
I forgot.
startup in the world
Yeah,
has
yeah,
this right
yeah,
now
yes, but I think, but 100%, 100%, 100%.
the
But
amount of times I've heard this oh my god bro
yeah,
oh
yeah.
my actually I almost puked just hearing that right now to be
No, it's
honest
also it's also funnier the fact that Pochettino has used it, because at this stage
yeah,
of his career, I'm not sure if he's.
next thing Pochettino is gonna put up. Product team is the CEO team of the company. You know, like, I'm sick of hearing this
कतार खुश
stuff.
हो गया भाई,
But
कतार खुश हो गया.
anyway, my larger
Qatar
point is,
mentioned, let's go.
I think on the, I mean, that's the startup way to look at it. But I think ultimately, I think what it does speak to a little bit is the fact that if you look at Pakistan cricket or you look at Man United, I think there's a real issue with regards to this weird culture that sets in that just changes the standards that you expect of yourself as a player, as a manager, or
Mhm,
whatever.
mhm.
And I think that ends up having
Exactly,
the biggest impact, even if,
exactly.
like, even if you have the best tacticians or you have the best players to perform that. But I
Mhm,
think ultimately, if you are not expecting yourself to go out every week and win, it becomes really hard to
mhm,
battle that. Like you're doing like this internal battle at the same time as you're actually facing an
mhm,
opponent. And personally, I think that is the issue, and I think that seems to be why these guys are putting their trust in Amarim a little bit, because I think
mhm.
it's like, when you've tried so many different things that haven't worked out, uh, where else is there even to go? Like,
Yeah,
people are
absolutely.
saying,
And
bring in Javi,
Abdullah,
bring
this
in this
takes
person,
me.
that person. I see no reason why that would work. Like, I mean, I have zero hope right now, is what I'll say.
Bro, this takes
Uh,
me back to the Liverpool comparison. Liverpool had also made terms with just being a middle team. Liverpool had become synonymous with chokers, like in the era that they were finding their space again. But they were able to
yeah,
eventually come at the space at the place where they were also expecting top level performances from not just themselves but one another in terms of like the squad. They were pulling up week in week out, and then they found a rhythm that they built upon. And look, and
yeah.
I
It's
am
not just them, by the
certain
way. It's
the
not that it
same
can't
thing.
change.
Exactly, it's not just them. It
It
will the same thing
Arsenal
will
did it.
happen to
Arsenal did
United.
it when
And
Arsene Wenger came in, right? Like,
yeah.
really completely changed the club, changed the standards expected of the club.
hmm
Same with Ferguson at United. We had sucked for 25 years or something when he came in.
Exactly.
We
So
had
it
we'd
will
been
happen
relegated
and
a
it will
couple of
happen
times.
within
So
our lifetimes
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. It'll happen, no
Yeah,
doubt about
Easy.
it.
yeah.
But I'm just saying, I feel like
I don't
there's no way to
know.
really sit and judge that, like, oh, this is what's going to do it, or that's what's going to do it. I think
अगर
sometimes you're just waiting for things to
अगर
click
तुम
into
ये चाह
place,
रहे
and
हो कि
then,
एग्जैक्टली ना अगर तुम ये चाह रहे हो कोई ग्राफ प्लॉट कर दो तुम फ्रॉम फेलियर टू सक्सेस और अच्छा अभी हम यहाँ खड़े हैं बस
yeah,
हमें इतना
there isn't one.
ये नहीं होता हाँ
No,
doesn't
there
work
isn't one. Yeah.
हाँ वो आप हाइंडसाइट में बना सकते हो कि वो एक पॉइंट था जिस पे थिंग्स स्टार्टेड चेंजिंग बट आई थिंक जिसने अभी तक देखा है आई डोंट नो उन्होंने कितनी ज्यादा हमने स्पोर्टिंग नॉलेज शेयर करी है बट आई थिंक सबका एक यूनानिमसली बस अब्दुल्ला के लिए थोड़ा टेंशन ले रहे होंगे ही हैज फिगर्ड आउट द होली ट्रिनिटी ऑफ स्पोर्टिंग फैनशिप्स पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट टीम फरारी मैन यूनाइटेड ये मतलब पता नहीं कि विकेट पे क्या ही करता होगा यार
Bro, I think अगर तुम
अब्दुल्ला का
मत पूछो
फेवरेट
यार.
टेकन प्लेयर मैं हूँ
तो अब्दुल्ला
नहीं,
तो
नहीं,
भाई
नहीं, नहीं.
बस टेकन ना देखना शुरू कर दी पता चला ऐश के बुरे दिन भी वहीं से शुरू
नहीं नहीं, ऐश के
तो
आज
बुरे दिन नहीं,
अब्दुल्ला
मेरे पास तुम्हारे लिए प्लेयर है, इसको नजर लगाना तुम.
ऐसे
कौन बताओ? नहीं, नहीं,
इसको
शाइन
शरिया
नहीं.
वाला देंगे ना. हाँ.
Never mind.
but I think on that
यार
note
वैसे आपस की
it's been a fun episode
हाँ हाँ
Say,
go on
I think this is a very apt reflection of what our chai together sessions we used to look like.
Yeah, yeah.
बीच बीच में 15-15 मिनट के लिए जिसके मतलब की बात नहीं होती थी वो चेकआउट कर जाता था like Vamu for the last 15 minutes has
and me
absolutely checked
throughout
out
the F1
Yeah.
F1 conversation. I'm like,
हाँ
bro,
but
how
that's
can you say so much when you can just say vroom vroom, just whatever.
so I think but that's the fun bit of it and we really enjoy sharing this kind of roundtable conversation just when a bunch of different things come up
hmm
naturally we'll try and keep doing more of this specific फोकस टॉपिक्स जिस पे हमें ज्यादा लंबी करनी होती है वो भी आते रहेंगे. So thanks a lot, guys, for sticking out. And I think on that note, to-dos from my side. You guys want to add
Yep.
anything?
See you guys.
Bye
See you guys soon with
bye. Take
another
care.
video.
Bye.
Mhm.